Hey folks, Greg here. Well, another year has come and gone. Let's count down the top 10 best games of 2024.
Ho, ho, ho.
There's a lot of stress involved when building a new game from a popular franchise in a new engine. Instead of simply iterating and taking what it needed from Tekken 7, Bandai Namco had to build Tekken 8 from the ground up in Unreal Engine 5. There was a lot of stress about physics, character look, and overall features of the game. But in the end, it paid off. Tekken 8 is a masterpiece of a fighting game, and only Street Fighter 6 and Guilty Gear Strive are really capable of that kind of quality that competes with it. However, Tekken 8 brings something they don't: 3D fighting without being an arena fighter. Tekken 8 is amazing in its stage design, offering players some of the most beautiful arenas ever, while making them highly strategic and interactable as always. You can easily pursue your own path in Tekken 8 because the game gives you a ton of options to play, have fun, and learn. It features a solid story mode, an arcade-style mode with character endings, and one of the most ridiculously well-equipped training modes ever put into a game. Put that together with solid rollback netcode and crossplay, and you have all the pieces that make Tekken 8 one of the best fighting games ever. Not to mention an excellent addition to 2024 gaming.
I got a letter.
Leave it to Bloober Team to nail down the original Silent Hill 2's shortcomings and work to remedy them. The 2024 game does away with sluggish controls and clunky combat, creating something far more refined and intuitive. Of course, just because the new game is simpler and more streamlined doesn't mean it's easy. Silent Hill 2 is every bit as tough as the original, testing players with scarce supplies, relentless foes, and an air of paranoia that's pervasive throughout the story. Silent Hill 2 isn't merely the original with a new coat of paint. Bloober Team went into this project recognizing that it was tinkering with the classic and remained focused on maintaining what made it that way in the first place. It's a perfect illustration of why the original was the horror staple that it was, while creating a new modern classic in the process.
I'm ready.
At its core, Unicorn Overlord is an incredible story of a young lord's mission to gather allies and unite the nations against a malevolent tyrant and his overwhelming power. The game is filled to the brim with characters to recruit, some having relationships with one another that makes their stories exciting to unravel. The game also features a massive abundance of classes for you to mix and match into squads. You see, you don't have to have one character fight at a time in Unicorn Overlord. Instead, in battles, you send out squads as a singular unit to engage in combat with enemy squads and take over control points in a stop-and-go real-time strategy. The composition of your forces is also of important consideration, as pretty much every class in the game has strengths and weaknesses. Figuring out how they best synergize is a big part of the fun. Between these features, a beautiful art style, enjoyable music, and a compelling story, Unicorn Overlord strategies shine, making it easily one of our favorite things to come out of Vanillaware so far. Right off the bat, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle lets you know exactly what you're in for. You're walking through a dense forest in first person, investigating abandoned campsites and discovering poison-tipped darts in trees. From here, you're inside a tomb, avoiding traps and snaking your way across pressure-activated tiles. And with the careful pressing of thumbsticks, you're swapping a golden idol for a bag of sand. That's right, it's a near shot-for-shot recreation of Raiders of the Lost Ark. From here, the game is a whirlwind of action and adventure. You're using Indy's whip to crack Nazis, or smashing their head in with all sorts of objects, solving puzzles and climbing through ruins, and of course, being a bit of a wise-ass and getting into all sorts of trouble. The team at Machine Games has delivered the best Indiana Jones video game in a long time, and we can't wait to see what they do next.
The greatest temptation is trying to control something we do not fully understand.
The fact that GSC Game World was able to release Stalker II Heart of Chernobyl at all is incredible. Developing a game under any circumstances is difficult. To do it while your country is being invaded is mind-boggling. Released on November 20th, 2024, exactly 1,000 days after the invasion, Stalker II Heart of Chernobyl is one of the best games released in 2024. From its breathtaking visuals in Unreal Engine 5 to its adrenaline-pumping gameplay, there's no part of Stalker II that isn't filled with thoughtfulness and attention to detail. What GSC Game World has built here is something that the entire gaming industry should applaud. That's why we here at Shacknews are celebrating one of the best games of the year, developed under the most unthinkable circumstances.
You're only fighting yourself.
I make no mistake. The dragon will appear before you when the time is come.
Now in the RE engine, Capcom takes open world design to new heights with an endless stream of unique encounters. The world of Dragon's Dogma 2 is packed with ogres, bandits, dragons, and other creatures that'll cause trouble as you make your way to the next quest objective. You can toss enemies into water, climb an enemy's back and stab it in the face, and even use their toppled bodies as a bridge. The pawn system is what really sets Dragon's Dogma 2 apart from other action-adventure games. These NPC companions are so rich with personality that most of them replicate the feeling of playing with friends. There's nothing like being stumped by a quest, only for your pawn to tell you they heard a rumor that might help you out, or when they tell you what type of attacks a nearby enemy is weak to. While you're not playing, your pawn goes into other worlds to aid players in their journeys, bringing back their newly acquired wisdom and passing it on to you. When you hire another player's pawn, you can leave them a gift as a token of thanks. It's a system that fosters a sense of community in the way most games fail to accomplish. Astrobot is a game that makes incredible use of the full extent of the PlayStation 5's hardware in a way that other games just don't. It's not just about looking pretty, though the game does that excellently too, but Team Asobi clearly has a solid understanding of how to get the most out of Sony's platforms. The responsive triggers, touchpad, and even the microphone function all play parts in solving Astrobot's numerous challenges. That said, we also appreciate that Asobi realized not everyone wants to play with a DualSense, and made options to allow you to play on third-party controllers. We've said it before and we'll say it again. For the first time in a long time, PlayStation has a standout mascot again. It's a cute little robot that is always ready to lend a hand to its pals, and we sure do like running around the galaxy with him. For decades, players have filled the green tunic of Link as the main hero, but Echoes of Wisdom shirked that norm. For the first time ever, players were now in control of Zelda. This dramatic change in the main protagonist, though one could certainly argue about who is the real hero across all the games, had equally dramatic effect on the gameplay in Echoes of Wisdom. Zelda isn't a fighter. She's not wielding a sword and shield in the same manner as Link. It's just not her style. As the holder of the Triforce of Wisdom, Zelda is able to tap into something else entirely, and Echoes of Wisdom leans hard into this. The game introduces Tri, a magical being that bestows on Zelda a wand that can summon echoes, copies of objects and creatures Zelda encounters in her adventure. The mechanic starts out simple enough: summon a bed to reach higher levels, but it's not long before the complexity and depth of Echoes of Wisdom begins to shine through. This is thanks to Nintendo's ability to give players tools and the agency to use those tools in any manner they see fit. Will you summon an Ignizol to clear a field of grass? Or perhaps an army of sea urchins to fight on your behalf? No matter how you approach Echoes of Wisdom, there's always going to be a solution to your troubles, a way to overcome the challenges before you. It's a theme that runs through the heart of the Zelda franchise, and one that stands out in Echoes of Wisdom. It's an incredible game, and a testament to how much the series means to not only the players, but the developers over at Nintendo. With Metaphor Ref Fantasia, Atlas and Studio Zero proved that not only can a Persona formula work in a fantasy setting, it thrives. The world of Acronia immediately grabs you and holds on tight until the credits roll. Archetypes offer a unique way to build your party, rewarding experimentation and exploration. From charming party members to endearing NPCs, Metaphor prioritizes relationships and the connections between us. Being compassionate and coming to the aid of those in need is rewarded with new archetypes and abilities. Artistically, Metaphor Ref Fantasia provides a stunning, moving portrait of a fantasy world. From the beautiful vistas to jaw-dropping cutscenes, every frame is it's worthy of being my next desktop wallpaper. The pop of color and menus ensures that even managing your inventory is an exciting part of the process. At the heart of this RPG is a rallying story about power and corruption. It's impossible to walk away from Metaphor Ref Fantasia without feeling emboldened and energized. Over the decades since video games were introduced to mainstream pop culture, developers and artists have come up with increasingly complex ways to enjoy them. They can capture the imagination with lore-filled worlds. They can tell tales of complex heroes and anti-heroes, stories that make people relate to the human experience in new ways. They can be bombastic summer blockbuster-like packages that can be enjoyed with like-minded fans around the world. One thing that the best games all have in common is that their joy can be expressed and shared with others around the world. Batro hits those heights with a deceptively simple presentation. At its core, Batro is about the basic rush of watching numbers rise. Scoreboard go brrrr. Right? Moving on. The simple dopamine infusion caused by watching numbers rise, multipliers trigger, and the minimalistic ding sound that hits as scores go up into triple digits, quadruple digits, and even quintuple digits and beyond. This is what video games can and should be. When approaching any game, the question always arises: is this fun? The best games are not only an emphatic yes, but drown players in enjoyment to the point that they've stopped thinking about that question entirely. Batro represents something exceptionally rare in gaming. It's one thing to stand out over some of the biggest titles in the mainstream space. It's another for an indie developer to do it on their first time out. Batro is Local Funk's debut. The game will bring joy for years to come, just as Local Funk has the potential to craft it for a lifetime. For this incredible effort, he has been awarded Shacknews Person of the Year 2024, and Batro is not only the Shacknews Game of the Year 2024, but the game has also won Shacknews Indie Game of the Year 2024, and the Madojo at Shacknews Mobile Game of the Year 2024, a first ever Triple Crown winner at the Shacknews Awards. An unprecedented sweep for an extraordinary video game.
One of these days I'll figure out how to pronounce Batro or Batro, but I'll just say both.
I think it's Balastro.
Batro.
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 A Batro action.
A Batro.
Batro.
Bizarro Texas Hold'em.
Batro.
Batro is available on Nintendo Switch. Batro or Balatro. Someday we'll figure out how to pronounce it too. Hey, Local Funk and PlayStack, good job this year. Very happy and proud of you guys.
Hey folks, if you enjoyed this top 10, be sure to hit that like, subscribe, notification button. It's 3 small clicks to you, but means the world to us. What games made your top 10 list? Let us know in the comments below. For more top 10s and everything else gaming related, you're already in the right place. You're on Shacknews.com.